Hey there, everyone. Come on, America. What the Yeah. That's the new ad. It's for all y'all outside of the United States. The We're Sorry About All This sale. And the promo code is RBAD. If you're outside of the United States, just go to indieagency.news/join. Get to your currency of choice outside of the US dollar. And then when you get to the checkout page, type in RBAD. You get 40% off the first year. And at the rate things are going right now, who knows? But we'll take the tariff hit a little bit here. And we want to get more great indies from all over the world into this amazing community. Our brief is to build a global home for independent agencies. Our mission, serve independent agencies and the brilliant people behind them. Our goal is more visibility for indies and more choice for marketers. Little quick thing. A couple things coming up. I'm going to be getting the announcements, the events for our top 40 design. That's coming up the week of the 28th. And then starting to plan a little bit of travel to award our top 3 winners. But we do have a few more pieces of good, juicy content. Let's call it good, juicy content. Jen Becker from Matchstick Legal talking about scopes of work, MSAs, more legal stuff. Really important. Jess Ferris with our Show Off Weekly. That right there is from An Ocean. Some great work they're doing. And then the latest episode of Year One. Christian Ganny from Outer Kind. Remarkable job. He does great on this. And listen, if you're a member and you want to do a show, raise your hand. Raise your hand. We will be your producers. We would love to have more of our members doing shows. And then finally, we did have a conversation with Russell Barnett. He was a marketer for like big time CMO for Mike's Hard Lemonade, Pop Chips, Gardein, My Mochi, How I Pick Agencies. If you are a marketer and you want to dig into this little schmutz, we'd love to have you because we're here to learn. We're here to inform. We're here to entertain. Speaking of which, one of the most entertaining people I know. Yes, I love the product placement.
Oh, are we talking about Seattle's best coffee? Look, Doug, I'm not one of those leaders who just comes on and shamelessly promotes our creative work. I'm not one of those, That's not what Haymaker does, dude. It's not what we're about.
I like the merch, though. When did they do the rebrand?
That's all happening this year. And when we launched our work a few weeks ago, last week, it was it's all a big part of a big push this year. New packaging started rolling out in January, which is rad.
Yeah, I noticed that. Yeah.
But yeah, it's all very exciting. Sorry.
No, it's very, very cool. What's that?
Sorry to completely mess up your intro.
Oh, if you think you're no, I mess up my intro. Did you like the ad?
Oh, the ad was fantastic.
Should I enter that in can?
Yes, you should, for sure.
All right.
How bad are you getting hit by the tariffs? How bad is Indie Agency News getting hit by the tariffs right now?
I mean, we're relatively inexpensive, so not too bad. Actually, we're not relatively inexpensive. We are inexpensive, and that's by design because we'd like to serve more people. That's the big thing. We want to make this accessible and affordable for as many indies as we can get in the door. We're north of 230. We'd love to be at 500 by the end of the year, 1,000 by the end of next year. I'm ultimately 5,000 because I think this is an amazing community that has a lot to learn from each other. And it's just like today, this is a celebration, right? So we did our little show off event in New York, and we realized that, we're just going to call it show off for everything. So today is about showing off some work here. And I want to go back a little bit before we take a look at it. So tell me a little bit about how Haymaker got involved with Seattle's Best, how that relationship even got started, and where it's all headed and where you're going with it.
Yeah. So we've been working with them for a little over a year now. We started last year, but they have big ambitions for the brand. It had been a little bit on the back burner, honestly, for a few years, but they saw tremendous potential in it. So they reached out to us, and we kind of hit the ground running in April. But what we did first was really land the campaign line. We did a bunch of strategy work, which is all really around smoothness. That's what they hang their hat on, and it's like consistent cup of coffee. So that was a really fun on-ramp, and then just kind of landing a platform for them. They had big ambitions for a brand launch in 2025. So it was really about like bridging the gap really until we could do this launch that we're doing right now. So there were some like social campaigns that brought to life this new platform line that we concepted for them. May smoother coffee bring smoother days. We did that in social assets. Obviously we're parallel pathing kind of brand look and feel and how that works with their new packaging. And then really the fall started, we kicked off on kind of this big push for a big brand relaunch in 2025. So it was really about landing the platform, but showing the potential of it as it could like for the horizon and how it could come to life many months from then. But all really exciting to see it out in the world right now.
Who's the parent company now?
Nestle.
That's what I thought. Okay.
Yeah.
So here's what's great about that is that, there's a difference between making big investments and right investments in a brand, especially when a company comes in, because Seattle's Best had been previously owned by Starbucks, if memory serves. I think a long time ago.
Yeah. Yes. It did change hands. Yeah.
Yeah. So what's really interesting about what I've always found interesting and fascinating about this brand is they occupy this really interesting space that has gobs of potential. And so what I've always known about Seattle's Best was it was always one of those brands where, because let's be honest, I mean, I live in Portland, right? So coffee snob. There are people like, oh, we have Stumptown or whatever. And there's that crew. But then what I find always great about Seattle's Best is it's always felt accessible. Right. So there are times when coffee can feel really, like it's an inside joke or whatever, like a hipster's inside joke. Oh, you want hipster inside joke?
Hit me.
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
You don't know?
That's good.
Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah. My friend Rick Anguilla, the founder of Avela, the volleyball shoe company.
Cool.
I think I got the name of the company wrong. He's going to give me shit about that as well. He should. But I think, there's such a wide spectrum from, your Folgers all the way up to super premium. And what's really interesting to me is, and it was similar to like the wine business where it's like, oh, I feel intimidated by this. And there are certain wines and certain brands that just have this opportunity to bridge that gap where you can bring people who might want to level up a little bit and others who are just like, you know what, I just want some great coffee, and Seattle's Best is great coffee. So I'm curious about, when you were talking about strategy, what sort of conversations about where it fit within that firmament?
Yeah. I think you hit the nail on the head. I think coffee can get pretentious very quickly. But there's nothing that really beats like a solid, reliable cup of coffee. And I think that's what Seattle's Best delivers. And I think there was tremendous potential in that. Not only when we kind of discovered this fun parallel of like smooth coffee and people having rough days, and like a good cup of coffee is like so clutch in the moment when you really need it. It is wind in the sails for you. It was really interesting when we were exploring the strategy. At first, it was like about mornings, and then it became like, well, wait, we can open the aperture more, whether you're thinking about like the 3 p.m. slump or, it's like, it's more about your full day. It's like, no matter, you could be going through any number of like life's rough patches on any given time, but a solid cup of coffee is going to go a long way. So hanging our hat on smoothness and reliability and consistency, just made it just feels like it's really honoring it being a solid cup of coffee and without any of the pretension. And to your point, really accessible. And I think when we started working on the campaign and coming up with these vignettes, and even before Joel McHale, but like, the language and the tone that we were establishing, so much of it was autobiographical, because one of the first ideas we came up with was based on this idea that my son had Little League practice at 7:30 a.m. on Sundays and games. And I was like, what human being is creating this schedule? Do they not have any?
Oh, try being a hockey parent. I mean, I'm not a hockey parent, but yeah. No, I know.
So me being a Tibetan Sherpa at 7:30 in the morning after getting my son in his Little League, uniform, it was just like, who could really use a cup of, who's having rough days is probably Little League parents at 7:30. So it started creating this like fun segmentation of all the different people who are who could use a smoother day and a smooth cup of coffee.
Let's take a look at the work real quick.
We all have rough days, but Always Smooth Seattle's best coffee can make any rough day a little smoother. Here, have some Smooth Seattle's best coffee.
Smooth.
Kids' birthday parties, am I right? You could use some Smooth Seattle's best coffee. Pack day, have some Smooth Seattle's best coffee.
Is this 100% Arabica?
Sure is.
You are wise, young one. Seattle's best coffee. May smoother coffee bring smoother days.
Multiple payoffs. Which is never easy to do because the pacing. Obviously, Joel McHale has a little bit of a Pacific Northwest history.
Yeah.
So walk me through the decision making between you and the client and the brand about Joel McHale, and were there other directions discussed?
Well, what was really exciting about Joel, we landed on him pretty quickly. Was yes, there was his history, but there's so many touch points in terms of his career. People know him from so many different things, whether it was the soup or Community, which I'm a huge fan of.
Sure.
So there was just this, and his humor, obviously he can definitely be satirical and all that good stuff, but there is like a lot of warmth to him too.
Yeah.
And there was something about him being the spokesperson and being like an optimist. And even though these rough patches happen, he could just kind of come in, and it's almost like this relatable, and knowing like I've been there too. It felt more believable coming from someone like him and his sense of humor. And he was fantastic. He was we get to work with lots of different types of talent in business, and he was just amazing. His team was great in terms of just collaborating. And then Neil Brennan was our director on these, co-creator of Chappelle Show, a fantastic director. I can't recommend him highly enough. He was incredibly collaborative. He made the work better. Just one example is, that practical lighting cue you're seeing after people sip, he brought that to the table. And I think it really just made the work so much stronger. So a big shout out to Joel and Neil.
So, I mean, that was subtle too. It wasn't so over the top, right? So it wasn't diverting your attention away from the core of the absurdity. No, I like that. So that brings up a really interesting question, because you talk about Neil Brennan and, being involved with some of these, really, really high profile shows. I'm very curious about your experience and you don't have to be specific about it, but, directors who have done stuff. I mean, we all know Peter Berg, right? So Peter Berg's done a bunch of stuff. Mm-hmm. I'm curious, like, what are the conversations that you have with directors that are like, you know what, I like ads. I like doing ads because of X, Y, and Z. I mean, money is one of them. Let's be honest. But what do they like about doing stuff like this? Is it just another muscle they get to work?
I think so. I think what was really interesting is that a few months before we made this campaign, Joel was on Neil's podcast, Blocks. Oh, so they're friends, and so I think not only I think they were really interested in the work. I think Joel liked the script. I think Neil liked the scripts, but I think it was also like an opportunity for them to work together and do something,
Sure.
Because so I think that definitely had a part of it as well. But I think, especially, Neil just already coming from that kind of history of like legendary sketches really, but he's already thinking very clearly in terms of premises, like efficiency of comedy. So I think it's really just it's muscle memory, probably. It's in some respects, to do it. But what I will say is, like, he brought so many great ideas to the table, but he was like very clear. Like, he was like, I want to make sure y'all are getting what you need. Are you like excited about this?
Yeah.
I think just with the media plan and stuff, there was a strategy around this 30, and there's going to be other things that like
sure
drop later in the year. But the fact that there were like these different vignettes, because each of those vignettes could translate really well to like 15s and 6s for their overall media buy. And so like that efficiency of comedy and really milking each scene for the most, I mean, he was incredible at doing that and super collaborative.
What's your favorite Chappelle sketch?
Oh man,
I've got mine. I've got mine
really hard. I would say a couple come to mind. I Know Black People is incredible. I think, and the entire Wayne Brady episode is.
Oh, that's okay, but
that is multiple sketches woven together.
Right. That's fair. Yeah.
But those are the two. I mean, I'm such a big Chappelle fan. I think Killing Him Softly is like one of my pie chart of my comedic DNA is like one of the big things. So there's so much. I'm curious what you think, but those are the ones that come to me.
World Series of Dice. Not even a conversation. It's, you got Bill Burr in there.
Yeah. Yes.
You got Ashley Larry. Now the backstory on this too is grits and gravy. So the backstory on this is I want to say it was 8th grade.
Okay.
So outside of Philadelphia, New Jersey, in middle school. I'm about as handy as a wet noodle. So I had wood shop as one of my classes. What I made was I had a piece of wood about like this, and I did a little thing, put a dowel on it, and I made a dice rake. You have to remember, I'm half Italian, and that's like that part of the family is in that part of it. So I started running a dice. By the way, I was student council president at the time. So I was running a legit dice game. Like, how Italian mafia was that? I was running a dice game for money. And then somebody snitched. And then about a month and a half later, and maybe a couple hundred dollars, heavier, principal calls me. I'm like, oh, what's going on? He goes, I understand you're running a dice game. And I was like, oh shit. I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll stop. So that was part of it. That was really part of it. But so that's a little bit of the backstory. We all have our degenerate stories, I guess. I mean, it was just I did make a couple $100. It was nice.
Was it a big scandal, the fact that you were student council president?
No, and no one cared. No, we kept it. Yeah, it was no. Yeah. Student council president runs dice games.
Was this your Iran-Contra moment as student council president?
No,
yes.
Not at all. Listen, I did student leadership so I could work on material. I mean, let's be honest. Okay, so what was left on the cutting room floor? Anything that was just like, oh, I wish we could have used that? Probably not.
Well, so many of the 15s, I think, could have been their own 30s. Like, I think we could have made a 30 around the birthday party, a 30 around the smart home. I don't know if you saw that one where like the smart home is like sentient and revolting. Like, there was just so much hilarious stuff. It was just more about, when you got to balance VFX and all this good stuff. Like, okay, well, we got to finish what we can finish. And, but I think it could have easily, and Joel was, I think one of my favorite lines in the entire campaign is, who wants to push the clown off the deck? And that was just Joel riffing that in real time. So there was, our cup runneth over of smooth coffee and hilarious like improv, because there was just a lot of stuff we could have used to like kind of build these out into larger pieces. But I
didn't put the clown one in there by accident.
It's okay.
We'll post when we put the post up.
Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Course. Well, this is great, and this is really fun. Congratulations on this.
Oh, thanks, man. Thank you.
I do want to remind people, please go to the site, search Haymaker, and watch these videos. I'm always going to bring this up, Jay. This is the evergreen thing. So So 2023 officially became a minority-owned business. This party, your mom flew out from Augusta, Georgia, to cook Indian food for everybody.
Yeah.
And it still to this, I told my son about it. So by the way, my son had the Muka t-shirt.
Yeah.
He used it in football practice. It got ripped. So he said the Muka t-shirt's gone.
Oh, we got extras, baby. I'll send you another care package of it.
But then I told him about your mom and the food, and he's like, "Oh," he goes, "What was it?" I said, "Everything." He said, "Oh, I wish I went." I was like, "Yeah, you did too."
Yeah.
But yeah, no, seriously, we had a lot of fun and had some really good videos. Your mom is a hoot.
Oh man, you got me so many points. It was really awesome. I really appreciate you coming, dude, and documenting.
Oh, it was great.
It was a really celebratory moment. My mom's just now she's retired. She's we got to do a mucka too and run it back. And I saw a lot of people were like, "Oh man, like I should have come." I'm like, "Yeah,
I know."
But I appreciate you always.
Yeah, man. And then I got to meet Laura Hoffman at our show off event in New York. Absolute star.
Yeah.
So
it's fantastic.
And here's the thing. It's like I'm trying to remember when we first met. When did you start the agency? It was
2017.
17.
So we're 8 years. It was 8 years in February.
Yeah. It was a couple of tables and a questionable part of town that someone told you was up and coming, which is still up and coming.
We had a client show up one time and there was a burnt out car in front of our office, and we're like, how do we spin this?
Right. Yeah. Creative inspiration.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. No, but it's been fun and rewarding to watch this. It's just I'm really, really pleased about how you continue to grow. And it's just I always like it when good things happen to good people. So do you, Matt, and the rest of the team. Congratulations. This is really great work. I'm going to put you backstage for a second, but man, keep on keeping on.
Thanks, man. Appreciate the support. Right. Thanks for the time.
You got it. All right. And a reminder to everybody, if you are outside of the United States, first of all, congratulations. Secondly, I know I'm going to get hate mail for that. Blah. I didn't mean it. It's called comedy and irony and satire and all the things that nobody remembers about anymore. But if you are outside of the United States, go to indieagency.news/join. Go to the currency of your choice. If it's not there, hit me up. There's a link to get there. So if you are in Norway and you want to pay in krona, then send me a note. And then you can use our bad as the promo code. And that's good for the first year. Yeah, that's all I got. It's Friday. It's time to call it, isn't it? On behalf of everybody at Indie Agency News, I'm Doug Zanger. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you next week.